I'm Colette, the Highway Stitcher, and here in Lehi, Utah, it is about 85 degrees, windy, and a little bit partly cloudy. We had a bunch of thunderstorms last night with some pretty violent lightning and rain and hail, but today is a little bit calmer, so that's a good thing. Just wind, pretty much. And I'm here to give you my stitching updates from the highway and at home. So since I haven't been here for a long time, it seems like to me, it's been about almost 3 weeks. We got back from Washougal, Washington about a week ago. But with all the craziness going on, and every time we head off to a trip and get back, there's always things that we have to catch up on. And unfortunately this time we also had things dropped on us, a lot of craziness, and so we had to take care of that as well as catching up on regular things that need to be catched up on. So a lot of adulting going on here, unfortunately. But my visit to the river house in Washougal was absolutely perfect. Really had a good time. And some of the things that I was able to do there was when I got there, about 2 days after I got to Washougal, I went up and visited Lisa Smith of Kindred Stitcher on Floss Tube. And that was really a wonderful day. I appreciate Lisa's kindness, and her husband Todd, he served us grilled hamburgers, and I got to meet Lisa's one cat, Mabel. Her other cat, Hazel, seemed to be probably out of the picture at the time, but I got to meet Mabel. She was cute. She kept plopping down right in front of our legs as we were trying to stand there talking and purring away. So anyway, she seemed to take to me pretty well. Lisa has an awesome craft room, really large, and she has like enough samplers probably to go into a needlework store, good sized needlework store, and she has them all organized really well according to a designer. And she also even has the additional like etc. type of designs too, where it's just one of a kind. And she showed me most of her new designs that she had recently gotten, as well as let me go through all of her other designs and see the pictures that she had up on her wall. And she showed me where she's going to have a nice sampler wall, and that was fun to see. That's something I would like to do someday. I just want to thank you for a perfect day, Lisa. I'm going to insert a few pictures here and show you what it was like when we were visiting. And if any of you have been keeping up on Lisa's Instagram, she just recently found a good-looking wasp nest above her garage. As far as I know, when I was visiting, there was no wasp nest above that garage. But who knows? It probably was getting built at the time, and I didn't look up. If I had been looking up, I would have let her know very fast that I saw that nest, because I would have been running down the road. But unfortunately, I didn't see it, and Lisa didn't either. So now she's got her work cut out for her getting rid of those wasps, if you saw that on Instagram. Anyway, I'm going to insert some pictures here of my trip to Lisa's house, and thank her again so much. On Saturday of the same week, I went to Acorns and Threads in Portland, and I usually do every time I go up to Washougal, because I'm only about half an hour from there, 40 minutes, about the same distance I am from Shepherd's Bush. So I try to make a trip to Acorns every time I come up, and I usually try to contact friends to come meet me up there. Well, come to find out, as I was checking with my friends to see a good day to visit, they mentioned to me that Jen of Jen's Stitching Niche, Jen Reagan, was going to be in Portland, and she was going to visit Acorns on Saturday, and that I should try to come down on Saturday. And I was pretty excited about that. I met Jen one time at the Midwest Cross Stitchers Retreat, but with 75 people, it's hard to talk to people more personally. So this was really fun, because I got to talk to her a little bit longer and spend some more time with her, and also with my other stitchy friends that are in Portland area. And so it was great to see Jen and great to see Audrey and Darlene and Wendy and Stephanie from Pixie Dust Stitchers and Janine, who runs Acorns. Thank you so much, all you guys. I was really excited and enjoyed my time there with you. If I can, I'm going to insert a picture of some of us there as we let you know how much fun we were having all together with our group at Acorns and Threads. We headed back to Utah around the end of May, probably about May 30th. And my husband mentioned to me, he knew I had a friend in Boise, Idaho, and that's where we stay overnight. And Chris had said, well, why don't you call up Melanie or text Melanie Smith from Yarns and Threads and see if you can go visit her. And I had just seen Melanie the month before because we had the Boise retreat. But I wasn't going to give up a chance of going to see her again. So I texted her and she says, sure, come on over. And so Chris and I headed over to her house and we spent the evening there and had a lovely time. I really enjoy spending time with Melanie and got to see Emma too. Most everybody else was gone, but Emma was there, so I could say hi to her too. And she was fighting a cold, so sure she was pretty miserable, but it was nice of her to be there with us too. I got to see a lot of Melanie's different crafts that she does and pictures that she's framed, items that she's finished objects. She has done so much wonderful, wonderful, beautiful work that it was just a delight to go see all of her stuff and to be able to see how she had arranged it in her house. And I even got to meet Maggie, who is kind of famous on Melanie's Yarns and Threads videos. And Maggie decided that she liked me, amazingly. She came up and sniffed me a little bit, barked at first. And when I reached down and petted her, I think she thought, well, I was a pretty decent person. And she liked Chris too. So amazingly, we made friends with Miss Maggie, and we had a good time with her, as well as the rest of the Smith clan. So again, thanks Melanie for the fun evening. It was really great to see you again. And I'll see you again at the end of July when I come through. We got home on June 1st, and then all the craziness began, all the catching up on work we needed to do. I had wanted to start planting my garden, and I got a little bit in, just pretty much my squash, not too much else. Got to check up on all my fruit trees and see how they were doing, and pulled weeds and checked my flowers and tried to catch up on that. And along the way, while I was doing those kind of things, we had other things happen in our family. I had told you that my one daughter, Julie, had fallen about a month or so ago. She's doing much, much better. She almost has full range of motion in her shoulder now, her elbow. I think she's really, really on the mend, and I'm really happy about that because my other daughter proceeded to fall while she was running and hurt herself too. I have a friend in the beading group I go to who said, I don't think your daughter should run anymore. And I said, well, it looks like it with two of them falling just within a month of each other. Anyway, my Shannon fell. Still not quite sure what's wrong. She went to emergency and they didn't find any breaks or anything. She fell on her left side, I believe, if I remember right. I went to emergency or Instacare with her. They didn't find any breaks, any cracks. They think it was mostly muscle damage, and she needed to rest, which is impossible to tell my younger daughter to rest. She just always wants to go, go, go. I think she's still in some pain now. It's been a few days, so being the mom I am, as we all are who are moms, we know, we want them to be checked up again. So Dr. Mom wants her to go back, so hopefully she'll go to an orthopedic doctor with enough pushing to check and see how her arm is really doing. What happened was she fell over It's not funny. I shouldn't be laughing, but she, her son tripped. Her son was running with her, and he tripped and fell, and she tripped on him and almost fell on top of him. So she kind of tried to fall to the side to avoid falling on him, and that's why she hurt her shoulder area and her arm, which is, you know, that's really hard. So Julie falls on her dog. I mean, her dog pulls her over. Shannon falls over her son. So I don't think anybody else in our family needs to be running right now for a while. But I don't think that's going to do any good because Julie insists on going into her next marathon, which is at the end of the month. She says if she's fully well, she's going to go. So anyway, I'll just go, okay, fine. But along with all of that, we've been having car issues. My car has been acting up. They seem to get it fixed, but with 200 and some thousand miles on it, it may not have a lot of lifetime left. I've been just driving it mostly around town and not looking forward to having to look for another car. But so far, I've been still able to drive it. The other thing that is totally my fault is I was backing our truck out of the garage, and I smashed the left side mirror into the garage door and practically smashed the whole thing off. So now we have to fix the side view mirror of the truck, as well as watch out for my other car. So all that good, wonderful stuff is happening in our family right now. Some things I haven't even been able to get back to Instagram or to Facebook because of the craziness that's been going on. But that affects everybody I know. So I'll get by all of this highway personal life updates and get on to the stuff everybody wants to see, which is stitching. Appreciate you holding on to watching, and we'll get on to stitching where things are funner and less stressed. So anyway, I'm going to start with the stitching that I did during Washougal and a little bit afterwards. And what I did is I worked on Mayflower Landing by Little House Needleworks, which is one of my Stitch 9 challenges. Pretty happy with the amount of work I got done on this. See if you can see it. I have to hold it back farther. Here we go. Since we're getting down farther here to our little pilgrim guys, I guess I better hold it back here farther. I started stitching up in Washougal about where the heart is, that whole motif in there with the leaves and the heart. So the lettering had been done above there. So that was, the work that was done was from that motif, the lettering down below, and also the house, the tree, and little motifs on the bottom, and that first pilgrim. The colors are, like I said, so lovely on this oaken. Picture this plus oaken. Really, really like it. And I'm getting really excited because I'm getting close to, once I get the little girl pilgrim done, I'll be able to start working on that ship. And that's what I'm really excited about. Finally get my stitching needle into the actual Mayflower. This is being worked with cotton overdyes, color, Crescent Colors, or Classic Colorworks and Weeks, as well as a few DMC. And before I go on with the little house, or before I put away Mayflower, I also started to work on another challenge. And some of you may have heard this. I'll see if I can get this right. It's 24 Hours of Cross Stitch June Monthly Challenge. Jen Lee of Quirks and Stitches Floss Tube actually started a like a challenge where you stitch for 24 hours. And then she decided to start this page and moved outward more into just the 24 hours and decided to do a monthly challenge. And her monthly challenge is for the month of June. And she wanted everybody to do 24. Take the letters that spell 24 and compose an actual how each letter will work for the project that you want it to work on. So, for example, like the T in 24, if there's a project you want to work on, if it starts with a T, has a T within the title, T for the designer, you can use T of something being within the actual piece that starts with T. She says it's just totally up to you, and it's a very, she called it kind of like anything type of a challenge, where if you can find some little thing that has to do with that letter, that you can use it. It is a count your stitches or count your hours challenge. So I opted to do count your stitches on it. And I'm using these 3 pieces that I've been working on for Stitch 9 challenge to try to continue with them with this. It kind of jump-started me a little. So the reason why I did Mayflower, let me see, was Mayflower for T? Nope, Mayflower is for W. So we've got T-W-E-N-T-Y. And the reason why Mayflower is for W is not even in this part of the piece yet, but it will be, because W can stand for water and waves. And as you can see, there's the water and waves for the Mayflower ship. So that will give me a chance to work on Mayflower during the June 24 hours of cross stitch challenge. Okay, so another Stitch 9 challenge was Bow-Leggy in the Desert by Ink Circles. So funny, this one's out of the plastic, but boy, I guess since that's a real picture, it still gets glary. But I think you can see Bow-Leggy there. He's so funny. Anyway, I'm using Bow-Leggy for both my Stitch 9 because I wanted to get him done. He's been a challenge. I mean, he's been languishing for about 3 or 4 years, so I wanted to get Mr. Leggy done. So I was doing the Stitch 9 with him, but to do the monthly challenge for 24-hour June monthly challenge with him, I'm doing T, and both the T and 20, there's 2 T's. So I'm using him for both T's because he is Bow-Leggy in the desert. So the starts with T, and that's how I'm using it to do my challenge. So Mr. Leggy got some work done. Before I took him to Washington, actually, Mr. Leggy was done himself, just my cowboy. So you can see just the cowboy part, not the rope, not the cactus, nothing else was done. So in Washougal, I got done the cactus that looks like he's sitting on, which is probably the reason why his legs are like that, and that fence post with the crow. Mr. Leggy is being done on a 28 count. I believe it's a dove gray even weave. I didn't keep the name of what it was, but I do remember it being called dove gray, even though I don't have a copy of the actual name of it. Okay, for E on the 24, I'm also doing another Stitch 9 challenge. Keep working on that. And I decided to do X's for cross stitch. And the way I'm corresponding it to the E in 20 is how much I enjoy, which starts with E. I enjoy cross stitch. And that little girl is enjoying her cross stitch too. There, that's better. A lot of glare today. Not as good a light as I normally have. And that young girl is getting surrounded by this pretty border. Before, all that was done was the girl on her chair and a few of the X's to her, well, point them out. A few of the X's, the X's along here were done, as well as the big X on the top. So that was it. So I was able to backstitch the cross stitch, which is right there, and the other X, which is over one, and then started doing the border. So got 2 parts of the border done, and then starting down the other. So this is coming along really well. I mean, there's still an amount to do on it. It doesn't only have the rest of the border. If it did, that would be great, but there's a lot of back stitching that needs to be done, and I tend to leave back stitching till the end. And then also there's going to be beads in it, and the beads are interspersed all through the border area, so it's still got a ways to go yet. But I'm still excited to work on those 3, put them in the 24-hour June challenge, and also in Stitch 9. Try to get them done, because they're, let me see, they're number 6, 7, and 8 in my Stitch 9, meaning I only have one other to work on. And I actually put that one other into my 24 challenge too, which I'll show next week, so it will get some work done on it too. So before I get on to haul, take a drink, just a drink of water, but a drink anyway, because I've got a lot of haul. So if people, whoever doesn't want to sit through haul, can leave now, because traveling, I was able to work with a lot of places and get a lot of haul. So I'm ready to move on to that. So the first thing I got before I headed off, it came just before, so I didn't have time to put it in my last video. But I ordered a couple of Owl Forest embroidery patterns from McKenna at 1884 Stitchery. One of the ones that I ordered is Russian motifs. This is just the pattern, and these are some Russian motifs like the palaces and other like flowers. I really liked this. So that one was the pattern that I got. And then I also got one that was already kitted up, which is the famous Tale of Tsar Sultan. Put that up close and you can see I do not know what his tale is all about, but it looks interesting. We have got a castle there and a ship, a really cool ship, looks like a dragon ship. And the Tsar and some of these 3 princes or something. I'll have to look up the story of it. But I just love that pattern. And it came in a kit with a little card, all in Russian, but showing Owl Forest, which is pretty cool. And my floss, just beautiful floss, just absolutely gorgeous. And here's some of the colors. I'll just leave them in the plastic, but you can get an idea of what colors there are. Those are absolutely gorgeous colors. They also sent me a needle minder and a needle. And the linen. So it's going to be a very nice piece. The linen's really nice. And the flosses are so nice. And their patterns are in color. like Hands Across the Sea, as you can see. So it's easy to tell what colors you're supposed to stitch. And also they also have the letters and the symbols too. I can't believe how sometimes I just forget the word for things, but I figure Floss Tube will help me, because if I do more Floss Tube, then I should start remembering things, I hope, the words for things. But unless I keep up with it like every week, maybe I won't remember as good as I should. Anyway, that's my 1884 stitchery purchase, and I'm really excited about that. That was really fun. I also got some haul from 123 Stitch. Try to get this straight here, what it is. Every month I try to pick up some 40 count lakeside linen from 123 Stitch. That's how I budget myself now that I have a little bit of extra money. So I try to get like a vintage of the different colors of lakeside linen. So this month I got vintage pear. And it's hard to tell in here, but it's kind of a greenish color with a little bit of gray in it. Just a beautiful piece of hand-dyed. I just love lakeside linens, so I try to get a piece once a month from them. I also got a couple patterns. I can't remember if these patterns were on sale or not, or maybe I just decided that I had put off buying them and I wanted them and just decided to go ahead. So we'll see how these do without pulling them all out. This is Plum Street Samplers, Count Twice. I've always enjoyed that Count Twice one. Count twice, stitch once. Well, and so now I decided to finally get it. I really like traditional sampler charts. That's Maura Blackburn's. I've wanted this red roof house for a while, so I got that sampler. The saying on it is, Maura Blackburn is my name, and with my needle made the same. And then I got a Victorian Rose Needle Art sampler. I really like theirs too. This one I've been wanting for a long time, but the cost kind of kept me. I'm going to get this one out of the bag. This one just will look a lot better. The cost on this one, it has a lot of pages, and it was kind of, I just couldn't justify getting it. But then I decided to get it finally when I got a little bit of money. It's Alice Smith, 1841, Sheep May Safely Graze. This is absolutely gorgeous pattern, sampler pattern. I've always loved this pattern. And I love it for another reason too. I like some classical music, and one of my favorite pieces is by Bach, and it's called Sheep May Safely Graze, and so that's why this piece touches me too, because I love that piece of classical music. It's an absolutely beautiful piece. If you haven't heard it, look it up sometime. It is really, really pretty. I also got something off a Stash Unload. Surprise, surprise, I'm usually not so good at grabbing things fast. Somebody had posted an Abbey Rose design called Blue Manor. I love blue houses. It had been posted for probably about an hour, and nobody had gotten it. So I decided, well, I'm going to get it. Price was good. So it says, "Peace be to this house and to all who dwell in it." Love that blue. So got that off a Stash Unload. This piece here, I set it on my haul stash to show for my next video. And I couldn't even do my video for the last hour because I could not remember where I got it. I should have put a little sticky note on it or something so I could remember. Well, I finally remember where I got it. First I'll show it and then I'll tell you. It's called Sarah Beard 1880. It's a Hawkins House reproduction sampler. I'd never heard of Hawkins House, but I liked the sampler. And what this was Julie at Gulf Coast Stitches had an auction, a live auction. She's had a couple of them, to help raise money for her daughter Sarah, who was in a car accident and it totaled her car. And she's going to college and now has no car. So Julie decided to do a live auction for some of her patterns that she said that she probably would never stitch. And so I had wanted to help out with that with Sarah, but totally forgot about the live auction. Well, when I was at Lisa's house, Kindred Stitcher, she goes, "Oh, guess what? Julie's having her live auction right now." So anyway, they were doing all of the Julie's putting up all of her pictures, and she puts up a picture and she goes, Lisa Smith, you should like this one." So Lisa bid on it and said, "Okay, it's mine." I mean, she put down it's mine. And so Lisa goes, "Well, you want to do one too?" And I go, "Sure." So the next one, Lisa, I said, "Pick that one for me." So Lisa put her name down, and Julie goes, "Okay, good." And then Lisa says, "No, this one's for Colette." Now Julie was kind of going, "Yeah, what's going on?" Lisa goes, "Well, Colette's with me right now." So she decided she wanted to buy one too. So I'm sure Julie was rolling her eyes like, "Okay, well, that's fine. I know Colette's address." So anyway, that's what I got from the live auction. And I couldn't remember for the life of me where this came from. I should have put a sticky note on it. But I kept thinking of everything I did the last 3 weeks. And then it came to me that it had to have been that. So thank you very much for your live auction, Julie. It was great. And I'm glad I could help out Sarah a little bit to get to college. My next haul is from Acorns and Threads. Whenever I go there, I go crazy. So I always see things I want. And I actually went there for a specific purpose, but then, of course, did not stop at that purpose. Decided to go on and get more and more and more. So anyway, I went there for some Threadworks over-dyed floss. And I needed to get, and they're falling all over the place, just a minute. I have several patterns that I'm doing just one color on, but like a over-dyed all the way through it. So I went back there specifically to get this green, which really is nice. I'm using it for a long dog sampler, which I started for Stitch Mania. But I also had a couple other pieces. One, a Quaker one, which I wanted to use this over-dyed blue with the green on. And then I had another one, I think it's another small long dog, that I have a lilac-colored linen that I wanted to use this over-dyed purple with a little bit of blue. So I went there specifically to get what they had left, because the patterns aren't very big, so they're not going to take a whole lot of floss, but I didn't know if the color would work good on what I was working on, so I had to do a little bit of each pattern to see that. And then I knew that I wanted to still do it, so I went and picked up all the last of the threads of that dye lot that they had at Acorns, because that's where I first picked it up. But I couldn't stop just at that. So they had an outside, on that Saturday, they had an outside bin of 50% off patterns. And I found this Tree of Life samplings called Beauty and Grace. And it says, "Beauty and grace abound in my stitching place." And I thought that was wonderful. I love that saying. Half off, can't go wrong with that. And then I got this for Chris. He loves chickens, and he'd like this pattern, the big chicken pattern. I think I'm going to change it out a little bit. I just don't care for the white chicken. I'm going to make it a color of one of our chickens that we had. But I really, really like that pattern. Just picked up that one. And then I also got this little house, the Beatitudes. This one's been out for a couple years, but I really like it. And so decided it had to go in my stash. It's all the Beatitudes all written down. I just love that. With, of course, a house and people and sheep. So little house. And then I picked up 3 patterns, 4 sampler patterns. One of them is one that I saw at Lisa's house, and she said it's in print. It's by Needlework Press, Mary McAllister, 1824. I love the border on this one. That is such a cool border. See that? And I love that quirky looking cow and those people. And I love that little ship. And the border at the top and bottom is just so cool. I even like all that grass. Some other people would go, oh no, I don't want to do that. But I actually really like that. So really enjoy that. I also picked up this Sampler's Remembered pattern, which I love seeing Jan Hicks working on this. Just was exciting to see the work. And I love the, like the little motifs. I love everything about this. Luz Gonzalez, 1851. This was another one that Lisa had that I really liked, a Scottish reproduction sampler by Catherine McNeill, 1843. Love those thistles. And the blues and purples in this. I'm really impartial to blues and purples. And then finally I got another Victorian Rose Needle Arts, not the one that's on my wish list, but I got this one called Elizabeth Boardman, which I really like, 1836. I love the birds and that house and that urn with those roses. So beautiful. This one says, this work is done that you may see what care my parents took of me. When I am dead and in my grave, this work of mine my friends may have. And that's kind of how I feel too. People who appreciate stitching, and those are my friends, would appreciate having patterns that I've made. And the same goes for my friends. I would so appreciate a copy of one of their patterns that they did and spent so much time on. One other thing that I got at, oh wait, there's 2 more that I got at Acorns and Threads. I got this needle minder. Had to get a hedgehog. Hedgehogs are the lace maker's mascot, Bobbin lace maker. So whenever I see a hedgehog needle minder, I usually get it. And I thought this one was cute with a little hedgehog with its little flower. And got this project bag. Llamas, party llamas. This was made by Wendy. Bags by Wendy, Pixie Dust Stitchers. 1/2 of Pixie Dust Stitchers. She makes project bags and takes them to Acorns and Threads, I guess, to sell. She had several there with her, and I could not pass up those llamas and those cactus. And get a load of this pull, the zipper pull. That is the cutest thing ever. Those little furry balls. This is just perfect. Thank you so much, Wendy. I appreciate the care and work you put into this, and I love to pick up project bags from different stitchers, different floss tubers. So thanks again. Okay, and my last, no wait, not last. As we were driving home, when we were between Washougal, Washington and Boise, we stopped at LeGrand, Oregon to get lunch. And they have a bead store there called Fairy Beads. And I picked up a few stones with the holes through the middle where I can make them into a necklace. I just love the colors on this. This one is Amethyst. My sister's birthday is February 3rd, so it's Amethyst Birthstone. And I want to make a necklace for her. And then I couldn't pass up this guy. McKenna would love this one. I'm probably going to do some kind of a scissor fob with this because of the hole through the top of his head. He was drilled out, as you can see, top and bottom. He's a pretty cute guy. And I'll try to post a couple pictures of fairy beads too, probably right now. We're going to see how good an editing job I do this time, because my pictures, I'm trying to put them in along the way instead of all in the beginning or all at the end. So we'll see if that works. I don't know. Last spot, Shepherd's Bush. So we're almost home, and I stopped at Shepherd's Bush and wanted to kit up a couple things. But before I kitted them up, I found another hedgehog. I'm crazy for hedgehogs. This one's a blingy hedgehog, as you can see, an accoutrement hedgehog. Fancy, fancy, fancy. He's all sparkly. So that's my next hedgehog. At Acorns and Threads, I picked up the pattern for the new collaboration design where the needles dance, called the Needles Dance. It is a collaboration of Summer House Stitchworks, Ink Circles, and Hand-On Designs. I liked the blue fabric, the dark blue fabric, for what I wanted to do, but even putting white on my underneath my dark fabric, and even using a magnifier, it's no fun for me to stitch on dark fabric unless I'm using an Aida, a form of an Aida. Then it's enjoyable again. So I just decided, well, if it's only enjoyable for me doing dark fabric with Aida, then I'll do dark fabric with Aida. So that's what I did when I went to Shepherd's Bush. They had a really nice color of blue. It's a Nordic blue. So I got it in the called for classic colorwork colors. And that's what I'm going to do Needles Dance on. So that was the one project that I kitted up. And then the other project I kitted up, I have to thank Lisa Smith for. There was a pattern of hers that was an old pattern that I fell in love with. And she told me, just go ahead and take it home and stitch it and just give it back when I'm done. It's a plantation sampler. And I fell in love with that border and those animals, like the little dancing rabbits and the cow and the geese and the horse and that house. I just love it. Just love it. It's like a 1980s design, so way long out of print. So what I did is I took it with me I took it home, and I went to Shepherd's Bush, and I talked to Terry, one of the owners of Shepherd's Bush, and she is just so good at colors. And I told her I wanted to update the colors on this. I still wanted to do the pattern, but update the colors to more like 2019 colors. Do a more prim look to it than the pastels that it has. So I'm gathering together the colors here that she helped me find. Some are classic colorworks, some are weeks, some are sampler threads. So she helped me. We spent a long time too. She helped me figure out colors that we could use in place of the colors that are down for the DMC for this old pattern. And I told her at the end, I said, I'm keeping you over, the store's closing and everything. And she goes, it's all right, I love doing this. She says, I love it, love it, love it. And when I left the store, I could barely hear her in the background when I shut the door. She's going, oh, I had so much fun. That was so much fun. So I'm glad that she enjoyed it, because I don't know if I would have enjoyed it. Anyway, the color fabric that we chose was Pecan Butter by Lakeside Linen. It's a vintage pecan butter. And these are the colors. I'm so bad at holding up the colors and doing it, but you can kind of get an idea. And I just think it's going to be absolutely beautiful. I'm just so excited about this. It was so fun for me too, even though I don't know if I really had a whole lot of say in it. Terry was much better at like pulling things and saying, well, what do you think about this? I did pick out the final choices, you know, between 2 or 3, but she was the one who just amazingly went through and said, well, this is a color that would probably work good for updating this. She's an amazing person. If you're ever at Shepherd's Bush and Terry is not busy, she loves doing this kind of stuff, and she's good at it. She's really good at it. So, and I thank her for that. One other haul that I got that I almost forgot. I don't want to forget, because I'm probably going to make Jam mad if I forget. Anyway, I got some needle minders from Abby at Top Knot Stitcher, and I got these patriotic ones, kind of old prim style patriotic. And then these couple ones that are Wizard of Oz, Glinda, and then Dorothy with the Wicked Witch. And there's Jam saying hi to us. So thank you, Abby. Thank you, Jam, very much for these really cute needle minders. So is that all of my haul? Oh, that's all of my regular haul, but I do have a little bit of haul that's related to a couple other things too. I think I mentioned to you for Bobbin Lace that I had a monthly Bobbin of the month. Well, for the last 2 months, the person who does the Bobbin of the month, she had mentioned to me that the person who painted the bobbins in England had gotten behind. So I had 2 bobbins coming instead of 1 for my Cactus Bobbin of the Month Club. So here we are with my 2 bobbins. The first one is California Barrel Cactus. It's hard to get that to show up right. Maybe if I do it that way. There we go, now you can see it. And Beaver Tail Cactus. Oh, I just love this monthly series of these bobbins. They are so beautiful. And Susan even mentioned to me in her last email, she said that everybody else has just loved this too. She said, thanks for the suggestion. And then she goes, if you have any other suggestions, let me know. But I've always just really liked Cactus and just love those Bobbin of the Month. Oh, one, almost forgot. This was underneath everything right by my shepherd's bush bag. And I almost forgot it was there. Chris wanted me to get this project bag. He liked it. It's a sheep project bag from Shepherd's Bush. So, good size. Real tough one because it's all the, it's like that heavy netting. So, a lot of room. So, I do like that. I figured something would have fallen by the wayside when I'm looking through all this haul, because it's just like lots and lots and lots of haul. I usually have very little haul. So, okay, I am going to go on to some lace now. So if you want to see some lace stuff, hold on and I will show you. I'm still working on the Russian lace rooster. Have not accomplished too much. Worked on the filling a little. So here he is. These fillings, which are these parts right here, take a long time to do. You have to like add a pair by sewing it in to the actual main part of the lace. And then you go around in a certain pattern that you have to determine on your own. So ahead of time, I have to draw a picture of this motif. There's a motif right there. I have to draw a picture on a piece of paper. And then I have to number it so I know the order that I'm going in. And then I have to highlight it as I go so I don't mess up the order I'm going in, or it will not turn out looking like these spirals. And so I'm constantly looking back and forth between my pattern that I've drawn up and the numbers along it to see whether or not I'm in the right position, in the right place as I sew, as I travel around. I have to use pins to hold parts of it like kind of apart so that it will actually look like a spiral and inside and out. Kind of like a pinwheel, and that's a difficult thing to do too. So anyway, it's my little bit of work I did this week on Mr. Rooster. As far as showing you a piece of lace and telling you a little bit about this piece of lace, I decided to pick up a piece that I did that's called Barjack Ombre. This is done with very fine thread. This was a gray silk thread, very high count. Right here in the middle is a little motif, and you had to use gimp work, and the gimp work's the darker threads to make the motif stand out. This took me weeks to do because this very fine thread, and well, it took me months to do. This very fine thread takes a long time to finish the pattern. And so I'm going to tell you a little bit about this kind of lace. It's called Barjack Ombre. Here's a book by Ulrike Volkner. She's a German lady who does a lot of lace. And she discovered, what was interesting about this is kind of lace is she discovered it kind of on her own. In her introduction, she talks about it. She says, after a long, cold, rainy, and dark winter, she said, many Northern Europeans like to go down to South France, to Provence, because it's all warm and they're by the ocean. It's kind of like people going to Florida or to Southern California. And it doesn't only attract tourists, it attracts a whole bunch of antique dealers. That would be really, really fun to go to a place like that and look for all kinds of antique craft items. And she says that you can just walk around in a relaxed atmosphere and pick up anything from a broken toothpick that's 100 and some years old to a Louis XIV sofa in perfect condition. And she has some pictures of as she was traveling to the flea markets. and all the different things that she found there. And also pictures of Barjac, which is the little old town in southern France. And there's where it is in France, way down in the southern part of France. Right there. There's a picture of it from farther away, and then kind of a picture of it in relationship to Europe, where it's located. I know these pictures are kind of hard to see, especially with the lighting, but I wanted to give you an idea of this town and these antique dealers, and I thought how much fun that would be to be going and looking around at, you know, all kinds of things like that. I would just love that. Anyway, she said that she was looking for lace, like she always is, and one of the markets in Barjac, because the little town of Barjac is close down at the southern part of France, in one of the antique stalls, she found 3 pieces of black lace. And her eyesight, she says, she's getting older and she can't see very well, but she could tell they were handmade and they were in the tradition of Chantilly lace, or Chantilly lace, with a rose ground filling. And she thought, well, that's different, because Chantilly normally, or Chantilly, is the way it's supposed to be pronounced, is normally does not have a rose ground filling, which is this part right here. The part all around the motif is a rose ground filling, which is, you can kind of tell it's kind of a square look to the, where the lace goes, makes little tiny squares. She says normally Chantilly has an open filling, a ground filling, point ground filling. So anyway, she took it home, and she said it sat languishing in her drawer for a while. And she decided to take a closer look at it, and she was just amazed by the differences in it, but the similarities to Chantilly and Torchon and other laces. And so she consulted, she said, with a bunch of other old lace experts, and they said that they didn't have any idea of the origin of the lace, and she couldn't find any more. Those 3 pieces were the only ones that she could find. And it seems fascinating to her, because she said you don't find like new type of lace just all of a sudden popping up at a flea market. And so she said it just didn't seem, you know, she said it had to have been a school of lace makers who were making lace, even though that's all she could find, because it just didn't seem realistic to think that it wasn't. So, you know, she goes, there had to be a school behind the scenes. So anyway, she decided to work with some of her students and start designing some patterns that have the tradition and have the technique of what she would decide to call Barjac ombre. Barjac because of the town, ombre because of the type of lace. This is her book that she made. Here's one of her first little strips that she designed. She says she generally makes it in black, but you can make it in other colors. I decided to make it in this gray. I had this gray silk, and so that was the reason why I used gray. But most of the colors are made, I mean, most of it was made in black. But she also did one in this, in several different colors, where she mixed the colors up, which is beautiful. And the piece that, let me find, I had the marker in here and then the marker fell out as I was holding it up. Show you a picture of the piece that I did, matted. And of course, I can't find it when I need to. But a couple interesting things, though, that I am seeing here that I want to show you. Ulrika has been to the Salt Lake area in Utah and has taught a lot of classes. And when she made up this book, she wanted to have pictures of the lace pieces with a beautiful background of somewhere that she loved going to. And what's really, really neat is she used a lot of pictures from the Salt Lake area with her pieces of lace. This is hard to show, but she shows like the piece of lace there on the side. And that picture is from the Great Salt Lake and Antelope Island. And my lace making friend and I were really touched by that she would feel that she thought it was a beautiful area in America that she wanted to use for, a picture of her lace with, an area of the world. Like, for example, here's other areas where she showed the picture of the lace and the area. And as you can tell, those are places all over the world. So we were pretty jazzed that she decided to choose our area for a lot of her pictures. There's this flamingo that hangs around the Salt Lake area, the Salt Lake lake area. I have not seen him, but he is there. He has a name, and I'll have to look it up and tell you, and I forgot totally what his name was, because I just happened to see this picture, and she thought that was so cool. So here we are at the Great Salt Lake with one of her pattern pieces of Barjac Ombre with the flamingo walking around underneath it. So the Salt Lake is in here quite a bit. But she also has like pictures of Africa. So like there's a pattern, a strip pattern with some probably wildebeest. Here's somewhere in the southwest of America with also a piece of Barjac Ombre. So this book really means a lot to us in Utah because of the pictures of the lace and how they're used with our beautiful state. This is the piece that I did in black. It's with elephants in Africa. But that's the piece that I did, but in a black silk. But yeah, just beautiful lace with beautiful, beautiful scenery. So anyway, we're indebted to Ulrika for taking time to actually design these pieces that she had to do off of just 3 pieces of lace that she found at an antique market in southern France. She's an amazing, amazing designer and teacher. And I was excited to be able to take this class and learn how to do Barjac Ombre. So that's my lace for this video. Oh yes, I can't forget this. Cannot forget this. I thought Audrey at Stitchy Witch 41 would appreciate these next 2 things I'm going to show you. I like to bead, and I thought, oh, I'll start showing some of my beading, some of the beading that I've done. And then I decided to show these particular things that I had made with my beads, partly for Audrey and partly because of something that happened to me. So anyway, Miss Audrey, here are some beaded spiders. What do you think? Actually pretty awesome looking, I think. We use big, huge beads for their bottoms, and for their heads we use a little bit smaller, and then all the legs. We actually think they're pretty cool looking, and they're fun to make. So, and they're better than the real thing, aren't they? And then here's a red, white, and blue one I did. See Mr. Patriotic beaded spider? What do you think, Audrey? Would you like to have one of these spiders in your house? These spiders are better to have in your house than the ones that are normally in the house. So I will go on to my story, Audrey, and tell you what actually happened to me. I went to the bathroom to go take a shower. Now, I happened to look up on the ceiling, which I normally do not do, because I don't look around as good as other people. And there was a spider on the ceiling, not a huge spider, a spider. I go, oh, I'm not, it's right above the shower. I'm not going to let that spider stay there, and I'm going to get rid of it. So I knocked it down, picked it up with a Kleenex. I'm a brave person, braver than most. Put it in the toilet and flushed the toilet. As it's going down the toilet, right in front of my eyes, a thread is moving down like this with this little spider going down in front of my face like that. I'm standing there going, what in the heck is this all about? What is this? Spiderville or something? Golly, coming down right in front of my face going like that. So I go, okay, get rid of that. So I knocked it down, took it and stuck it in the toilet too. So anyway, I wanted to tell you that my story, Audrey, because I had two spiders who decided to join me as I was deciding to take a shower. And I just thought to myself, what is this? I got rid of the one spider, and just as I get rid of him, another one drops from the ceiling. It's like they're out to get me. And generally, the only thing that's ever out to get me are cockroaches, which someday I will tell you my cockroach story. But usually spiders aren't out to get me. So anyway, I hope that's not an omen of things to come, that I'm going to have spiders start coming out. But I guess it is summertime, and those critters are out there now. So I'll have to start watching out for them. So that's my spider story, Audrey. I thought I'd add it to all of you guys' spider stories that you've been doing. Anyway, this has been a long video. I better end it now. Thank you guys so much for coming and enjoying, for subscribing, for watching my stitching, for your nice comments. I appreciate it. Love you all so much. And remember all the beauty that's around you, the beauty that's out as you're traveling this summer on your vacations, the beauty that just surrounds you in your yard, the beauty as you stitch, the things you're stitching that are full of beauty. Just remember it, appreciate it. Happy stitching, everybody.